Okay, some 10 or so hours later, I just checked my pack. It's had plenty of time to reach its resting voltage. After running this thing, my load for 1 hour this morning, the pack has went down to 11.36 volts, and it indeed did not balance. And meaning the BMS did not balance it. The BMS was hooked up during the when I had my load running this morning during the discharge, and it went out of balance. Cell number 1, 377, cell number 2, 384, and cell number 3, 374. So it's all out of balance, but you know, it's not much. It's less than a volt. It's less than a volt difference. So I don't know. It's only a few tenths. I don't know if that really would make a difference or not, but I'd really like it to stay balanced. So with that said, let's go ahead and hook the iMax back up here. And this time I'm going to leave the BMS connected, and I'm just going to do a simple charge with the iMax. So Alright, so I am going to turn my amps down. I was charging yesterday, balance charging on 6 amps, which is quite a lot. And I just went past it. So I was going to turn it down to 4. I'm just on regular charge now. Let's see if that'll even go up to 6 amps. It does. Let's turn it down to 4 amps to keep the iMax from getting hot like it did yesterday. The cells didn't, the battery didn't, but the iMax was pretty darn warm. So there we go. We'll start this. Got plenty of time to get it charged back up today, and hopefully the BMS will balance it. We'll find out. Whoops, my voltage is wrong. I'm on one cell. See, the iMax doesn't let you make a mistake. So now we need to go up here and put it on 3 cells, 11.1. I should have known that, just wasn't paying attention. There we go. Ready, set, charge. Okay, yesterday I put the iMax charger back on the 3 cells with the BMS connected, and it has sat overnight, but it fully charged up, and it's resting at 12.54 volts. And the good news is, and it's a little bit shocking to me, that the BMS has apparently balances. Something balances. I just checked it with the multimeter, not only once, not only twice, but 3 times to make sure I wasn't making a mistake here. This was yesterday's discharge voltage down to 3.77, 84, 78. Today it is 4.18, 1818. So it is now balanced, and the iMax wasn't set to balance charge. The BMS was connected up during the whole time. So perhaps it is working now, and I can't explain why it didn't work before on the pack that I was experimenting with before, but it did not work. So I don't know. It did not work on the discharge, but it seemed to work on the charge. So this will certainly warrant more experimentation. So for now, I am going to disconnect this and set it aside, but be experimenting more with that since it did function, or appear to be. And now let's connect up our little cell meter 7. And we'll look. 12.54 is what the ANOVA told me. Now it's reading 12.57 volts for the total, but it's on LiPo, so I need to go down to lie on, but it's the same thing. So that's what the total voltage is right now. Let's go to cell number 1, 4187. That is approximately what my ANOVA said. 418. See, this actually gives me yet another number that the ANOVA doesn't. 4194. That's different than that. 4191, and that's slightly different. So I believe I will let this sit now and not do any discharging today, and we'll test again this thing. I'll write down what this is quickly, and we'll do that. And you'll also notice I made a change here. I actually cut my wire here and bared my wire, and I also cut off the connection. There was a permanent connection between these two because I talked about in a previous video that this meter is in the wrong place. This is before the inverter. It actually should be after the inverter and before my battery posts, because my load and everything comes off the post just like it would on your car or pretty much anything else. So the meter really needs to be right here in these two wires, right there. So I'm going to make that change before I really start experimenting anymore. But for now, I'm going to leave it. And the other reason I cut that wire is I bought a second GT Power RC. This is brand spanking new. It is still in the box. It's still got the nice little cover on it. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet. But I thought I would test a second one of these because I definitely would like to have one of these on my big pack. So I'm going to simply connect it right here so they'll just flow together. And I'm not sure that that's the correct way to test two identical meters by putting them in line like that, one right after the other. But that's what I'm going to give it a shot, and if anybody has any different thoughts and ideas on that, please comment down below. So that'll be tomorrow's test, or maybe later on today, but I'm going to let this thing sit and write down my numbers, and then we'll just let this sit for 24 hours and come back tomorrow morning and have a look at what this says.